What comes to mind when we hear that we are co-creators with the divine? We may have given little thought to this before we embarked upon the mystical path. Mysticism, by its very nature, is an effort to commune with the God of our hearts, the ultimate creator of everything. The practice of mysticism requires that we pause and reflect upon our relationship with this power. And by so reflecting, our thinking processes evolve to allow us to catch the subtleties of our awareness. Without such reflection, these subtleties pass right by our awareness. Our holy contemplations and meditations allow us to marvel at how our thought processes work and ponder the how and why of existence. We therefore give weight to the fact that through our every act and thought, we are co-creating within this world with this life that has been granted to us. And we can recognize that we are creating from and beyond that which we can recognize. Therefore, as a mystic, what we create takes on a greater significance to us. Take a moment now and reflect upon some of the things that we create. What do you create? Give this a few minutes. Think of material things and also immaterial things. Let's ask ourselves, what are we creating? Where does our creativity begin? Why do we create in our particular manner? What are our responsibilities in the act of creating? What do we use to co-create with? What do we bring into this world with our creations? It is amazing what we have brought into this world as a species, as human beings. We have an inherent need to know more about ourselves and our surroundings. We are always challenged to go farther and to reach greater levels of accomplishments. We attempt to create greater beauty and grandeur, to symbolize our innermost hopes, to learn and know more. We are a unique species, dual in nature, unlike any other species that we recognize. We have our struggles here on Earth to survive, and such struggle has driven us to create shelter and conditions more favorable towards extending life. We have also come to recognize a responsibility towards those who are in our care, to the health and well-being of our environment, and to the continuation of life in all of its forms. Thus, our efforts to create better ways to survive and thrive continue to evolve as we learn more about the consequences of our actions and our co-creations. Innately, we know we have this responsibility, and our inner director guides most of us to take on these responsibilities to create conditions of care for ourselves and those around us. When we fail to do so, most of us inwardly feel empty. In order to fulfill this obligation, we follow the dictates of our hearts and go to work in the world we find ourselves in. Thus, we get jobs, purchase homes, and create stress and deadlines and on and on. We create this outer world around us, building an environment out here into which we put ourselves. This is as it must be, for though life was gifted to us, it must be maintained by us through our physical and conscious interaction with this world. Therefore, to live as a human being is to create, consciously, physically, and beyond. As we will see in greater detail as we go through this presentation, if you are conscious, you are creating. For you are participating within the cosmic mind through not only the things you make, but also through your impressions, reactions, thoughts, and contemplations. You are a being, swimming in a cosmic ocean and assisting the cosmic mind to be. Thus, whether we know it or not, or think about it or not, we are doing the work of our Creator all of the time, even though it seems we are only working out here in this world. Certain mystical teachings state that we are spiritualizing matter through our conscious interactions with it. In the first degree of our teachings, we study the periodic table and the various scientific aspects of matter. Eventually, though, we learn that matter itself is ultimately spiritual in nature. We, thus, through consciousness, interact and create with the spirit nature of matter. We draw into ourselves all the terrestrial elements. These elements become part of us and are imbued with our consciousness through the various processes of association between us. Without thinking, we are autonomously creating and expanding a conscious living world. That which we create has an origin within our soul. Our soul is that unchanging, shapeless, and perfect part of us, not in any one place in our body, but hovering with us throughout our incarnation. The soul is not evolving. It is perfect. It is our outer consciousness that evolves towards a recognition of that perfection. It is from this perfect state that our creativity begins. Our mortal mind captures but a whisper of this creativity, and our ego personality takes this whisper and co-creates with it, most often in an unaware state. Through this process, our ego creates many layers of conscious projections into the world during our incarnation. Think about the many roles you have created for yourself. Each of us has created not only physical things, but also a combination of extensions of our soul personality. We are friend, parent, grandparent, worker, athlete, artist, musician, and on and on. With just a little thought, each of us can see that we have extended consciousness into this world and infused it with a part of ourselves. Our consciousness hovers around these things, and our influence remains there. Just as our soul hovers over us, giving us life, purpose, and direction, so too our earthly personality hovers over its creations, our co-creations. What do you imbue these co-creations with? Or do you even think of them as such. That perfect soul part of us is pure and selfless love that remains with us always. It is not only formless, but also nameless. It is the light of awareness, untainted by our mortal frailties. It is from this selfless pureness behind our mortal thoughts from which all creation ultimately springs forth. This is that great spiritual alchemy of our work as mystics. All of our creations out here come from a spiritual process within here. We follow and are guided by a natural impulse to discover and learn about ourselves and our surroundings without recognizing that our thoughts and resulting actions stem from such a mystical, selfless desire. If we fail to pause and examine self, we miss the extraordinary nature of this intimate participation with the cosmic. As we go through the tasks of our days, we naturally feel that we are just objectively thinking, just arranging things in our lives and following our objective, conscious thought to a conclusion. Stop and look deeper. There is a certain something beyond physical thought that draws us into life to participate in this world and not only admire what it is showing us, but also to enhance it and discover it. Through such participation, we are co-creating on this earth plane, each of us uniquely so. Think of one of the extensions we mentioned earlier, that of friend, parent, mystic, musician, or so and so forth. Just one that exists in your life. Choose just one for now and try to see it in a greater light. Just as you give homage to each cell in your body when doing the Rosicrucian overall exercise, now give homage to this co-created body of yours and imbue it with cosmic love and energy. From time to time, recognize these extensions of yourself and give thanks, love, and recognition to them as an extension of cosmic being. Our mission of co-creating continues into higher and higher realms. Close your eyes for just a few seconds and listen to yourself. We are creating right now as we listen together to these words. We are all spiritualizing this material plane on all levels that exist here. When hearing a presentation such as this one, we are spiritualizing that which we hear and its intent in our own unique way. We are taking the words and concepts, bringing them into the vibratory nature of our soul personality, and returning them back into the egregore of our order and of humanity. This mental, creative communication is another way that we spiritualize matter. This formulation and energization of a concept could not happen without our human awareness making an invisible connection. You and each of us are thus creating higher vibratory concepts, building invisible human structures of greater and greater understanding at all times, often unbeknownst to our mortal minds. We are continuously shaping and directing the cosmic flow of information into this world through our ever-evolving thoughts. The higher our thoughts rise, the greater is the influx of cosmic vibrations we bring into this world. Therefore, take the time to think of the majesty behind all of those layers you have created, and consciously send blessings to them from your highest intentions. In this manner, you will more closely perform the cosmic will in your creations, and you will grow closer to that pureness that gives you life. Our human condition is not built to have this recognition all the time, but we can certainly contemplate from time to time that life itself is a blessing beyond our mortal imagination. Each moment we are alive is holy. Part of our mission within creation is actually becoming aware of the holiness of life, attaining the recognition of our connection with the great moving love of the cosmic that is sharing itself with us. We are given consciousness within a framework in this plane of existence, and within this framework, we have free will to create. As human beings, we also have the ability to transcend the physical through thought, raising our awareness to bring etheric ideas into this world. It is through these etheric, outer worldly ideas that we have brought so many inspiring elements into our world, such as music, art, landscaping, architecture, poetry, and many others. These creative forms bring insight and enhance an expansion of consciousness within the human kingdom. In many spiritual and religious texts, we find the statement, "In the beginning was the Word." What is this word? And why do we have the mystical triangle of thought, word, and deed in that order, with thought being first? Perhaps it is because before there could even be a beginning, there had to be some form of a desire to, quote unquote, be. With a tremendous lack of ability to express the meaning of how that first thought may have come into existence, let's attempt to say that an all-loving impulse formed in the mind of the grand architect of the universe. From this initial pure desire emanated a vibration, or the word, which gave the potential of formation to our universe. From this initial vibratory pattern came action, with the eventual movement of matter into creation. We can see this progression in a Rosicrucian ceremony. After a few moments of silent contemplation and preparation of attending members, symbolizing our pure desire, there is then the sound of the gong, or the initial word that goes forth. From that moment forward, there is activity and words and a buildup within that sacred space and time. We can also see this on a personal level. When we are able to pause and reflect, from the darkness within, we can sometimes receive the spark of inspiring thoughts, and then through will and effort, put that spark into action. We can see a similar function looking at theories of the formation of our universe. There was a time when light and matter were mired together, a galactic dark age where all things existed in darkness before light could emerge through the initial cosmic plasma. It took eons before the collision of quantum particles was strong enough to break through, but once light shone, the activities of our universe as we know it began. These are just examples of the mystical law of as above, so below. There are many other correlations that can be made between the functioning of our consciousness to that of the natural world, and between our objective world and the invisible world. All reality has a corresponding actuality that it emerges from. In conclusion, our impulsive creativity urges the divine into this world through us. We are passing through this human experience as agents, tasked to emit a pure desire into this terrestrial realm. We are therefore creating with our spiritual nature, using thought and directives that come to us from deep within, and coupling that with the energy in this world that is termed spirit in our order's teachings. When we will ourselves to reflect upon this connected process that we are participating in, we create a mental link or communion with our pure nature, thus bringing a greater sense of this pure nature to our awareness and into our surroundings. This practice can be infinitely comforting and healing, for we can experience ever so briefly that part of us that is the root of our creation, eternal, pure, and connected to all that is. Our temporal consciousness is latched to this eternal force, and through this union, we participate in this beautiful movement that animates the cosmos. We are animated by that greatest yet sublime power that continues to create. As powerful as that force is, moving galaxies and planets and lighting all that we see, we can know that we are an active part of that movement, of that word that went forth in the beginning. Such reflection helps us to see the feebleness of some of our material, day-to-day stressors, and gives us a glimpse of what is meant by the mystical concept of earthly illusions. Fratres and sorors, dear friends, may we ever contemplate the tap upon our shoulder from that beginning word and follow our connections between our inner immensities. With a firm will, guided by pure desire, we can witness our consciousness expand towards the infinite through our co-creation. Thank you, fratres and sorors.